This is Positive Solace with Attika Choudhary.
Hello, kicking off the first episode of Positive Solace Season 2 is Zainab Basheer, a Palestinian who lives in the Gaza Strip. She's a student, a writer, and a social media assistant with We Are Not Numbers. You're in a very sort of difficult situation right now, and how are you coping?
Our situation here is so unstable. I can't say that we are okay. Maybe I'm physically okay, but psychologically, no, I'm not okay. The situation around me is so stressful. Every day I wake up to bombing, I sleep to bombing sound, and this is how it feels to be in Gaza these days.
Wow, so it's a very difficult time, not just for you, but people around you. And how are you coping with it? Well, obviously, I can't imagine what it must be like hearing a bomb every single day and waking up to sounds like that.
Yes, actually, it's not an easy thing to cope with. It's not an easy thing to deal with. We try to keep it positive, sit with our families, try to check on our friends, talk to them. We try to talk about the situation, talking about it, writing about it, make it feel a little easier. When you let our feelings out, when you write about them, when you talk about them to someone else, it makes us feel a little easier. And we keep telling ourselves that tomorrow is going to be a better day and this is going to end soon. This is how we try to condolence ourselves.
And those who don't know, and I just came to find out, you're a 19-year-old college student. So you have been around for some time, and there was obviously a war back in 2014. So experiencing all that, and obviously you're now writing you're writing stuff to express yourself. Has that helped you in any way?
Yes, sure. Writing is like my outlet. Every time I feel stressed about something, I just go write it. I express my feelings to tell the others how do I feel. When I tell the others how do I feel, I don't feel like this is only stressing me. This will go out and tell the others how do I feel. My feelings are not just mine. Everyone will know about us now. So the writing is the way I express myself, the way I feel less stressed about what's going on here. Because I've been traumatized with war like 3 times: 2008, 2012, 2014, and now 2021. So this can't be this easy to keep it inside.
And how do you express yourself besides writing? I mean, do you feel a certain way at times because you're so young, and having to go through all those wars you just mentioned? It isn't an easy feat.
It's not easy, actually. Besides writing, sometimes when I want to run this world, run away from it, I read. Reading also is such a place to run where I can flee this reality. I can go to other worlds. This will just stress me less when I know like there are another beautiful things in this world. It's not just Gaza, it's not just war. There are many things I haven't tried yet. The world is bright out of here. So I just go read to experience the things that I can't experience while living here in Gaza. At least read about them, at least virtually live these experiences. So this made me a little bit less stressed about what's going on and what I've been through.
And what kind of experience do you want to live? I mean, what's Zainab's normal day like?
Actually, the most important and the most significant thing that I can't experience while living in Gaza is like traveling freely. I see people daily life when I like surf through the social media, through TikTok, Instagram, and whatsoever. They are traveling for vacations, like from a city to another city, at least in their country, while I can't. I really hope that I can go from a city to another inside Palestine. I don't want to go outside Palestine, but like to Jaffa, to Haifa. There are many beautiful cities here that I would love to travel to for a vacation or whatever, maybe for weekends, but I can't because of the siege, because Gaza is separated from Palestine. So this is one of the most experiences I want to experience outside of Gaza if I wasn't here.
Oh, it sounds so sad and so traumatic, and it just sounds awful. And obviously, I'm not in your position, but how do you find peace within yourself to accept that you can't do that right now? You know, I'm guessing you have to sometimes say, "Well, I'm going to do this in the future. I will do it." But how do you find that within yourself?
Well, sometimes I find it so hard to accept this fact that it's one of my right to move freely, and I don't have this right just for what? Because I'm a Palestinian. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense for me. And the other times I go, okay, this is surely not going to last forever. Like, one day there will be a chance for me to travel. One day when this country will be free soon, maybe I can travel, but I don't let that go overwhelm me and like erase all the hope I have. I still have hope that one day I will be able to travel, and I live in that hope. Sometimes the hope alone can be dangerous. Only you have hope. There are nothing around you tells you that soon this is going to happen, but I only have the hope inside me that keeps me holding on.
That's great. Hope is something that we should all hold on. And I'm wondering, Zainab, obviously, do you have a family? Do you have siblings? Do you have, close people around you that you can speak to and share your life with?
Yes, I have one sister and one brother, my family, and I usually talk to my sister like she feels what I feel. And my friends also have a huge rule. We talk together, like we live in the same place, we live in the same situation, so we talk to each other, we vent about the situation that we live through. So I feel I'm not alone in this. I have my friends and I have my family around me that live under the same circumstances I'm living under, and I don't give up just because all of this stress is over me. Everyone else is living under the stress, and we have to hold on together to it.
Yeah. And do you feel that helps, having each other, having that support? Obviously, those who don't have families must find it very difficult.
Yeah, sure. Having your family around you is a big plus. When you don't have a family, you don't have someone to share what you feel with. You don't feel safe. When you have family, you feel safe. When we hear bombs here in Gaza, we just gather all the family together because you kind of feel it's warm. You kind of feel like you're safe with them, whatever is happening outside. Even if you're like, oh my God, we are dying. You're dying with your family. It feels so warm and safe. We're dying together. It doesn't matter. We have each other. People, they don't have families. I don't know how they feel when they need a safe place, when they need to talk, they express their feelings. It's going to be hard for them.
And obviously, I was messaging you to obviously set up this interview, and you just told me that you heard a bomb nearby, and that is very scary to hear, because I was actually worried, because after I didn't hear from you, and I thought, is she okay? Those sort of situations, you think, oh my goodness, like that's next door to you. We wouldn't imagine that living in the country that I grew up in, hearing a bomb just like that around the corner. How do you deal with that? When you go to bed in the night and you wake up, do you have fear? Do you fear that you might not survive for the next day?
Well, yes, of course. Our life in Gaza in general is insecure. We can't be sure if we are going to survive to the next day or not, because basically they just bomb random places around you. Sometimes they just don't give you any alarm, or just most of the time they don't give you any alert. They just bomb the place over your head. So I'm not sure if my house is the next house that's going to be bombed. They don't have any targets. They just bomb civilians, kids, families, whatever. They just bomb the house over them. They don't care who is inside this house. So what's going to give me the guarantee that my house is not the next house that's going to be bombed? That I'm not the next person whose name is going to be on the list of the dead people, and my friend is not going to be mourning me. So I can't be secured about this point. And yes, it's scary. Even though some people say that, oh, you've been through like 3 wars, you have to be like used to this. Nothing. No one should be used to this. Shouldn't be normalized. Fear shouldn't be normalized.
Totally. That's very true that you said that. And, whilst you're fearing every day, how are you having your education? Because obviously every child in education is a basic human right. I mean, you said you're a college student, but what is it like going to college? Do you go to college? I mean, now that we're in a pandemic, even worse conditions, I'm guessing.
Well, actually, now we are not taking any education because due to the circumstances we're going through. Our doctors just stopped posting lectures. We used to have online lectures, hardly though, because of the internet problems and the electricity shortage. But now we're not having any lectures. Also, were some bombs near to our college, so maybe some buildings were destroyed. And now the doctors can't go there and film the lectures. And we are just going to stop learning until this war or attack is end. And also many school students has been murdered through this attack. Kids, they had the right to learn. They had the right to go to school. They bombed schools. They killed kids. So education is not as stable right here.
And so what are you studying, Zainab?
I'm studying translation.
Translation. Okay. So I guess you would need, support and other people to communicate with, and that is very difficult. I do sort of wonder how, besides the war, if there wasn't war during this time, this conversation, what would be the situation be again? Would it be like it is during the war, or is it much the same after war has ended? Because obviously you've gone through so many different wars.
Without being in war, life is slightly different in Gaza. Actually, that we are insecure about our lives stay the same because they can bomb whenever they like, whether it's war or not. The siege is still the same. The situation of the hard economic situation is hard. No electricity still. We have like 8 hours a day. So we have to do all our work in those 8 hours before you lose connection to the internet, before you lose the electricity. Also, water. One of the most basic things in human life is not available here, or it is available, but and it's not sufficient amounts. Not all people get to access to water equally. So it's hard for people who live here, whether it's war or not. And for me, it's also hard by the siege. Not everything is available here. I need a book. I go find it. No, you can't get this book here because we can't get it. There's siege. We can't get this book. I need anything to buy, maybe to order from outside, from Amazon, from other stores. We can't because things can't reach to Gaza because of siege. So I feel like I'm living in an open air prison. So this is how is it without the word. Just hold the fear. It's still hard life.
We've had this term a lot from the social mediums recently that have been discussed, the open air prison. Would you like to describe what that, I mean, you've just described it, but what is it exactly when you say an open air prison?
Open air prison, that we live here in Gaza. Yes, we can move outside our rooms, we can move outside our house, but we can't step outside Gaza without going through real hell. Actually, real hell. If you want to go outside Gaza, you will just regret stepping outside because of all of those walls, all of those cross and checkpoints. So it's just a jail, but it's open because you can move from your house, you can move from your room, you can visit your relatives. Sometimes not all of them, because some of them live abroad, you can't see them. So it's just all limited. Everything we live, it's limited. The electricity is limited, the water is limited, the food we get, everything is limited. So that's what makes it a prison, because we can't get anything freely, but yet we can move outside of our doors.
So how do you go for food shopping? Where do you get your food from?
We have local shops here. People here are like, we have lands and agricultural lands. So they plant, we plant most of our food, and we get some food from outside. We export some food from outside, but it's usually expensive, more than the local food.
Can you get a bar of chocolate or not? Can you get a bar of chocolate just like that?
Yes, we can get.
Yeah.
We can get.
Okay.
Yes, we can
I would just check, because I can't live without chocolate. If I can't find chocolate, I have to go to the shop. So I was just wondering, if you can get that. Not that you need to eat chocolate. I'm not advising on that. But yeah. So, Zainab, you write for We Are Not Numbers. Your social media assistant there. How do you get involved with We Are Not Your Numbers?
Basically, our vision. I'm going to tell you about our vision. We Are Not Numbers is an organization. It's run, all of us are youth. We have no political background. We just write for humans. We write the human stories behind the numbers. When you check the news every day, you see a number of people died, like 10 kids were killed, 10 girls were murdered, whatever. These people have stories, they have lives, they have dreams. They were not just numbered who should be buried under the rubble. One day they were walking in the street talking to their friends and telling them, I'm going to do this and that tomorrow. And the other day they are just a body. And we have to tell the people that this kid were at this school, he had a dream to be a pilot, he had a dream to be a doctor. We can't just bury them under the ground and forget they ever existed, because they had people who loved, they had families. They've been here one day, they lived an impact. They can't just be wiped out, like brutally wiped out with anyone know about their stories. So I write, whenever I see a story, I just go and whether translate it or write about it. not just me, all of us do this. Our heart breaks for what we are doing, but we have to tell the people, we have to spread the word that we here are human. We're not just numbers living here waiting to be killed by some random airstrike.
When you write, and do you have any particular stories that you can share with us that you've written about that really, I guess, broke your heart, touched you? I mean, it's difficult to write about something that is not very pleasant that you're, sharing with the wider public.
Yes, I wrote a story yesterday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was crying while writing that story. It was about a girl who got murdered like this week, 15th of May, I guess. Yeah, 15th of May.
Mm-hmm.
She was murdered during a massacre that the airstrikes committed in Al-Wahda Street in central Gaza. They literally bombed a whole neighborhood without giving any warning, just the houses over the head of their inhabitants. This girl's name was Shayma. She's 21 years old. She's a dental student. She was studying dentistry, dentist to be. And she was engaged, newly engaged, and she was waiting for her wedding. Her wedding wasn't in a week. She was talking to her fiance and telling him that she is okay. You don't have to worry about me. And her fiance was telling her that you will be okay. Just stay safe. He was telling her to stay safe. While telling her to stay safe, she got killed on the phone. She was talking to him and she just got killed under the rubble of her house. When they went to find her under the rubble to take her body and bury her, they find her engagement ring in her hand, and her hand was just there. Her hand survived with the ring on her hand to cherish the love that was buried in her heart under that rubble, under this cold ground. So she's not a number. She was about to be a dentist, and she was planning her wedding, so happy, with heart full of love. Now she's just a cold body buried under the ground.
And so you wrote that story?
Yes, I wrote it yesterday.
That sounds like an awful story to write. I mean, obviously, me being a journalist myself, and when you are writing stories, you naturally, because of your human emotion, you feel a certain way. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, having those emotions, when you're attached to a particular cause or a situation, naturally you have that feeling. So I'm really sorry to hear that you had to write something like that. But thank you for sharing a story like that, because I think sometimes people may not understand what you personally may be going through, because every day for you is a bit of being on the seat on the edge, I obviously, I can imagine what her family must be going through. So thanks for sharing that. And how did you get involved? We are not your numbers.
Well, I was following their accounts on social media, so I saw their work. I really was impressed by the stories they write, because I had that feeling that maybe someday I will be Shayma, I will be Razan, I will be any of those girls we are writing about. So I would need for my stories to be written like their stories. So when I saw that, I asked them if I can join you. So they just post every year, maybe, or twice a year, a form that you fill and join them. They take the people who has the ability to write, who has the ability to talk and to deliver our message to people outside. And of course, I wanted to get involved there because I wanted every story to be read and every voice to be heard. A lot of voices are not being heard. I want these voices to be heard and these stories to be written. So I joined them when I was 18 last year, and I started writing with them. I published one story so far and other stories in social media. And I wish my voice will be always heard and my stories will be always read.
Well, you are obviously being heard today with us, and we're so glad that you can join us for Positive Solace, because this place is for people from all walks of life to share their experiences. And, it doesn't sound like an easy place to be, but, I just want to also ask you, why you've obviously gone through so much, what would you say to other young women who perhaps are not as motivated, perhaps, or don't have that hope perhaps in where you are? Because there's lots of women, not just in Palestine, but across the world, who are in war zone areas, who feel to find something, because obviously life, we all have a purpose, right? And I feel that your purpose is perhaps fighting? I'm not entirely sure. I'm just saying it for hearsay. But what messages would you have for other girls who, because you are obviously expressing your way and you're dealing with stuff in your own way, to other women and young girls like yourself?
Well, my message to them is never lose hope. Because when you lose hope and you lose purpose in life, your life becomes so dangerous. It becomes so empty. It becomes so sad. It becomes so dark. You look at the end of the way and you only see the tunnel. You have to believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how bloody is that tunnel, no matter how hard it is to go through it and to step inside that tunnel, having hope, because nothing is meant to last. Nothing. Throughout the history, nothing lasted. Everything has to come to an end. So no matter how hard it is, your life now, if you look forward, like in 10 years, I might not be having these problems. In 10 years, maybe those problems will be not that much of a problem, would be not that big problem to me. This will solve itself by time, because time heals everything and nothing is meant to last. This is what I always tell myself. Trust the wait and embrace the uncertainty. Maybe I'm not certain about my future. Maybe I'm not certain that this problem is going to end today, but eventually it will come to an end itself, because you, inside of you, you are powerful more than you think. You have the power to get through this. You're more powerful than you think, and don't let the others just take it for granted and tell you this is going to crash you, or this is going to end you, and you're hopeless. You're living in a place that's literally dead. It's totally hopeless. No, nothing in this world ever is hopeless. Eventually, everything will just come to the light. This is what I always tell myself when I just feel a little down or depressed.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. And I hope that you found some peace by talking to us and some joy talking to us. I mean, I didn't know when I was talking to you on the phone, I didn't know how young you were. I could tell you were quite young, but I couldn't tell how young you were. And it's so encouraging to hear those words of wisdom for someone so young yourself to experience all that she's experienced. I really wanted to actually ask you, you have survived a lot in your 19 years, but I do wonder how your mum and dad, I mean, do you have these conversations with your mum and dad? What's it like having these discussions with them? What do they grow up thinking life was going to be like for them?
Like, my mom and dad are fighting. They were fighting the past 19 years to get me grow up to make me grow up with this personality. They went through a lot. Imagine that yourself seeing your kids going through all of this trauma and all of this fear, and you can't do anything about it. They tell me that this is going to end. Don't worry. When we were young, they were telling us, oh, these are like fireworks. It's not bombs. Inside of them, they were burning because they know that we can die any moment and we will grow up with this fear. It's literally so hard for them. It's a hard mission for them to raise their kids under these circumstances. But yet they did a good job. I am now grown up with a strong faith in my future and our future, with a strong faith that what we are going through is making us more solid. It's not breaking us, it's just making us more solid. And they gave me this strength during the past 19 years of my life. They've been always giving me this strength. No one were giving them, but they had it, that strength, and they gave us. I feel this is so magical, because you're devastated and you know this is not fireworks, yet you go tell your kids, this is fireworks, no worries, this is going to end. This what gave us the strength. Seeing them doing all of this to us gave us the strength to go on. I hope I answered you.
Yeah, you did. You did answer that very beautifully and eloquently. I'm glad that you were able to share your feelings and what you're going through. And I think stories like this is really important to share, not just today, not tomorrow, but hopefully these discussions will continue as weeks go on, as months go on, and that we don't just talk about it in the moment, because I think sometimes we can get very caught up in all that and talk about things when things are happening. But I think these are stories that you're living every single day, Zainab, right?
Yes, this is our life. This story is just, it's not today. It's not just when war happens, not when just attack happens. It's everyday story. It's a historical struggle that we don't have just to talk and to share about it certain days in the year or certain days of a month. No, we have to tell and keep talking about it to make the world feel that we are here. We have this struggle and we have to free this land. We can't live this way. It's not just during wars and this when the war ends that our struggle and our misery end. No, it doesn't. We have to talk about it always. We have to spread the word always. We can't stop just talking about Palestine like it never existed.
Well, beautifully said. And when you say that in terms of communication, do you have much communication to the outside world besides people in Palestine?
Yes, we have. We use social media to contact people from outside. Actually, we are not numbers. We have mentors. They mentor our writings. They're from America. And we have members, they live in Germany and Lebanon and West Bank. So social media gathered us all together.
Oh, that's great. So you've obviously made friends through all this.
Yes, sure. I made friends from outside.
So you said you can't be friends with people from outside the world. I mean, this is the beauty of internet. I guess you can communicate to people from all across the world and stuff like that. What I was going to ask you actually, before I forget, obviously you mentioned a lot of the living conditions and the difficulties that you guys are facing in Gaza and in Palestine. With the pandemic and now with vaccinations, what's the situation like with that right now?
Well, now, under this attack that we're going through, vaccination stopped. Some people were taking the vaccine before this attack started, but now the hospitals are full of injured people, of dead people, so they can't get the vaccines. Also, like checking if you have coronavirus or not, testing for coronavirus has stopped. The hospitals can't take any due to the coronavirus or something like that. No, because we have injured people, we have dead people. Some hospitals are being destroyed also by the bombing. So the other hospitals getting crowded by dead bodies, by injured people. And there's a huge shortage of medical supplies. So maybe there are like hundreds and thousands of people are like infected with coronavirus now, but no one knows because they're not testing and they're not taking the vaccine.
So what was the situation like before the war?
The situation even before COVID, before this attack was even hard because we don't have the proper medical supplies for people. Right. Gaza is just so crowded. 2 million people in this Gaza Strip, 2 million people, and they live next to each other. The refugee camps are so crowded, so the infection go from person to another so fast, and they can't get the medical care they need because our hospitals can't just take all of this number. So they were just taking care of the very dangerous cases who are dying or who are too old. And other people, maybe they just die there or just suffer there without taking the proper medical supply because the hospitals were so crowded. And now it's even harder because they maybe were taken out of the hospital because there are injured people there or martyrs there. So it was hard and got even harder.
Wow. Okay. So what's going to be, how is it going to be dealt with? Do you know what the situation is going to be? How are they going to deal with this? Because obviously, whilst there's simultaneously wars happening, there's a pandemic going on, vaccinations not being obviously sent, the situation, or obviously not being vaccinated, the situation isn't going to get better on its own, really, is it?
We want this to get better. This attack has to stop. Because if this attack doesn't stop, more people are going to die. More people are going to get injured. The hospitals are just going to get more crowded. So there is no way that we can get the vaccines or get the COVID tests while there are people dying. So you can't just come to the hospital and tell the doctor, oh my God, I have COVID. And there is some people with hands are cut, their legs are cut, maybe their heads are injured. So they can't just test COVID for someone while someone is dying. They have priorities. So if this attack stops, maybe we can ask for help from other countries who can help us with this situation, get the vaccines, get the medical care, maybe send some people outside to get the medical care when the borders are open after this attack. So, but on our own, I don't think we are going to survive this COVID and injuries thing. So it's kind of complicated. No, I don't know how they are going to deal with that. But I think this is how it's going to be.
And have you had friends or family who suffered from COVID?
Yes. Actually, during Ramadan last month, my grandpa has COVID. He's old, and he has heart disease. So when he had COVID, it was so hard for him. It was hard for him to get the medical care, the proper medical care. So we were all afraid and scared that we could lose him because he's not getting the medical care. He went to the hospital just for 1 week. Then they said, we have to get you out. We're sorry. We are crowded. We don't have enough beds. So just 1 week in the hospital, then he just got home. And he suffered from huge pain because of COVID, and he's old. So we were just too scared that we could lose him in any moment.
Yeah, no, that's very scary. I mean, to lose anybody in any situation, even if it's COVID or not. So I'm glad he's okay. Is he okay now?
Yes, he is okay. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, alhamdulillah, that's good to hear. Zainab, I wanted to ask you where can people follow you? Do you have like a personal blog?
Actually, no, I don't have a personal blog. I just share what I write with We Are Not Numbers on my writer's page on the organization's website.
Okay.
They can read what I write there.
Amazing. Is there anything you want to add before we end this lovely, interesting, well, I wouldn't say it's lovely, but an interesting conversation?
Today morning when I woke up, my friend was telling me that there's a bookshop in Gaza just got bombed. And this bookshop was my favorite bookshop with all my memories because I'm a bookworm. I love reading. So I always spent all my money on bookshops. So they bombed my favorite and the most central bookshop in Gaza. And I was looking through the pictures. I saw books are destroyed, literally, and they are torn. When I was wondering, they were saying that they are targeting terrorism here in Gaza. What's wrong with a bookstore? Why would you bomb a bookstore? This is for people who say that, oh, Israelis are doing self-defense here in Gaza. They are defending themselves. What's with the bookstore? What would be hidden in that bookstore to bomb it? And now all my memories are crushed under this rubble of the bookstore. It's not just a place who got bombed and we will just wipe it. It has a lot of memories. A lot of people has memories there. So they can't easily say this is self-defense and we're fighting terrorism here in Gaza and just go bomb bookshops, go bomb our colleges, our schools, and all of this. And people just still say they are doing self-defense. This breaks my heart when I hear people calling this self-defense.
Oh, I'm guessing it's really affected you quite a bit. How did you feel when you heard that? What was going through your mind in that moment?
When I read that on news, when I saw the picture of the rubble of that bookstore, I just saw my memories buried there. I was so angry and devastated. Like, why would you just bomb a bookstore? This is the first thing that came to my mind. I went touching my books and like feeling so devastated about. I felt like my books lost their home. It's like I was planning to get more books this month. Then the attack happened, so I couldn't go, and then they just bombed this bookstore. I was really angry and depressed about it.
Are you okay now?
Yes, because I wrote about it. I let my feelings out and I just talked about it. It made me feel a little better.
And Zainab, it's been so lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your emotions, your insight to life in Gaza. You've been a writer, you've been a student, you've been a daughter, having a family. It's been really fascinating and really intriguing and really insightful to what a young girl's life is like in Gaza.
I just want to stress again on what I said about never normalize fear and never normalize these attacks that are happening to us. Not because we are being attacked many times that we are used to this. This is something that no human should go through, and we are humans. So just stop normalizing our suffer because we are fighting back. Stop telling us that you can fight back, then why are you complaining? But this shouldn't be normalized. Any human shouldn't go through what we are going through. Please keep spreading the word, keep telling the word that we are not the occupiers, we are not the oppressors, and we are not numbers.
Zainab, thank you so much. You ended it so lovely there. We are not your numbers, which is an organization I came to find you from. So thank you so much for your time. It was so lovely speaking to you, and be safe, stay safe, and stay in touch with us.
Thank you so much. It was really honorable to talk to you, and I enjoyed that.
This is Positive Solace with Attika Choudhary. New episodes every Tuesday. Subscribe to Positive Solace on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube at Positive Solace and at Attika C on all platforms. Contact us if there are any stories you'd like to share with us. Thank you for listening.